Hey, so I'm Mark. I'm going to tell you a few things in this video. This is going to be a real short video, just some things to remember when you're like buying land and getting ready to build your own cabin and homestead, whatever. Just keep in mind a few things that I learned along the way. First is, I was buying this property, but there was a lot of properties across the road that were a lot cheaper, but they actually didn't have legal access to them. So you can get to them by taking little back roads and stuff, but technically they don't have legal access. So if you don't have legal access, you can't get any permits at all. So I didn't want to build a place that could never get financing or whatever. And so I'm going to build like a real kind of house. And so anyways, you got to first look into if it's got legal access. Most places do, of course. Just the area I'm in, certain places don't. And then also just look into what county you're in. Each county has different regulations on what they want. And I know if I'm in right here is Klamath County, and so you can get a regular septic system, and they said it'd be about 10,000. But if I lived in Deschutes County, the county up from here, you have to get a sand filter septic system, and that was going to be like 25,000. So just switching counties is huge, big difference in what you're going to actually pay. And then the septic system, you actually had to, I think, pay a monitoring company to monitor your septic system. So anyways, that's just like a whole bunch of stuff, you probably wouldn't want to mess with. So look at what county regulations there are. Even homeowner stuff, homeowner associations, see if there's any in the area. This one actually does have, this association agreement. There's no fees, but it says you can't put like a manufactured home under $1,000 in value, and you can't have farm animals. So, that's the, restrictions here. So I didn't mind that, even though I do love chickens, up here it's all right not to have farm animals. But so look into all that stuff. One thing is definitely look into the well depth that you're going to need, because up here there's shallow wells. I mean, it's like a 20-foot deep well, just done with an excavator. It's just like $2,000 to have a well dug here. But back where I used to live in Dallas, it was like, 20,000 for a well, and it was like 360 feet deep. And so it's like, I mean, if you can get water there, that's kind of a deal breaker. So up here it's real shallow, but I'm sure, it's all dependent on snow melt. So, who knows in the future with water supplies, but anyways, it's cheap, at least here. Something to keep in mind. I did do my whole design in SketchUp. I don't know if you're, good with computer programs, but this was pretty easy to do. You still, even though you do your own design, you still need all the calculations from the engineer. So you really have to take your plans, give them to an engineer, have them approve it, put all these stamps on it, and send it to the county, and then of course they have to approve it and put stamps and sign stuff. So anyways, this is kind of a long process that I thought would go pretty quick, but I mean, you really have to plan ahead for engineers not being available, or permits taking a while to get approved or whatnot. Before you actually design your house, is kind of funny. I designed my own house, and it was actually bigger than this. It was 600 square feet rather than 400. So, but what I didn't know was the snow load up here is huge. So now it's all computer generated, programs that tell you the snow load. And here it was 131 pounds per square foot, which is huge. So it's got to be designed beefy for the snow loads right here. Now, if I was, just down the road like 20 miles, it would be way different than it is here. But so you can, this snow load map, I mean, you could just look at it online, but, normally it's, 30 pounds, not 130 pounds. So that really affected the design of this whole thing. And one thing definitely you got to look at first is the efficiency requirements for building a house. And that really drives the entire design. So before you start planning out stuff in SketchUp, look at your efficiency requirements. So I started with 2x4 walls, and you can't build with 2x4 walls. There's not enough space for the insulation you need. And the floor joists, I originally designed 2x8s because structurally it was fine to use 2x8s. But the efficiency requirements say you need like, I forget, R30 insulation or something, and it's like 9.5 inches of insulation, so you can't put that in a 2x8, floor joist. So really, my whole walls changed and my floor changed just based on efficiency requirements. And so I had to redesign everything differently to be beefier. And then also with the snow load, I had to really make it narrow because if you get too wide, then you need massive beams to hold up your ceiling. So really the snow load drove my size of this cabin that I'm building. But you really got to look into all those efficiency requirements. And another thing, originally I was going to put in a little wood stove, figured, you'd be self-sufficient up here with a wood stove, but I'm required to put in a super, super high efficiency heat pump. So, if I'm required to do that, then kind of like what's the point of having other heat methods, because I already got this super efficient, unit in here. So, I mean, gosh, so it kind of killed my idea of having a wood stove in here. It's just, something to consider if you do. But first, take a look at those efficiency requirements. To build a little house is the same as building a big house. I mean, you still got to meet all these requirements. And, in the bedroom, of course, you got to have a window big enough for egress. And, I mean, there's a lot of little details, that you got to plan out on your design. So one thing you got to keep in mind always is the whole permit thing. Now, I got mine approved. It takes, a lot longer than I thought. And then, there's fees, of course, on everything. So the permit was about $2,500 to build this structure here. Just like the septic system was like $2,000 in fees just for the septic system. So, I mean, I'm at about $5,000 right now in permit fees to build. And I think this place is about $9,000 to, what I'm at on actually building. So you got to figure in those permit costs are a lot. The permit actually expires in 180 days, so half a year. So up here, with the snow, I don't come up here for 6 months. So of course, my permit's expiring. This year they extended it because of the COVID virus, but I still didn't meet the new deadline, and so now I have to pay a fee. I get my permit renewed, and so you got to keep in mind you got to get an inspection every 6 months within that time period to keep your permit going. And you can't really camp on your land while you're building. That of course is illegal. You can only camp on your land for 21 days. And that's it. So You know, if you want to actually camp on your land longer, you can pay for a permit, you know, with the county. I think it's like $500 to camp on your land longer as you're building. So, you know, where you're going to stay while you're building is something to consider too. And remember, like when you're building, when you're planning out your time, you're always going to have, like, you know, four things that you're not planning on. I mean, the worst of all in this was Mother Nature just hitting you, like, you know, crazy, really, you know, making you behind in what you thought you'd get done. Another thing is just your body. My body gave out last year. When I was doing this, and it really, you know, sucked about a week and a half of time where I didn't get much done. So you got to worry about your body, getting deliveries here on time, you know, when I actually need them here and they're the right things. Check your order when it comes, because you know, if you get the wrong thing, once you're ready to start doing something, you don't have it, and you'll have to get another delivery, you know, planned. And then government, you know, so always with the permits, inspections, that always sucks time. So you got to remember those four things. And so if you think you're going to get it done in a month, you know, maybe it's realistically a month and a half. But just, you know, plan ahead for unexpected things. And I don't know, I can show you some stuff around here real quick before I end this, but one of the most important things I know now that I didn't really realize at the start, like with all these plans, you got to submit like it's kind of like your land use kind of a drawing, and it's, you know, here's where my house is going to be, here's where my septic's going to be, here's where my well's going to be, and I kind of did this as I went along, but you know, if you really did this detailed the first time, it would help you out in the future a lot better, because, you know, I put my well house in before all this, and then it was more, you know, trying to keep my septic field away from my well house, and then my house, I didn't actually plan till, you know, where exactly it was going to be until after the septic was in. So, I mean, I'm just kind of, you know, just going by the fly here, but if you had that detailed plan worked out, it would help you in the future a ton. Hey, I'm going to cut this in if I didn't talk enough about it, but I'm planning my electrical. So I have to put my electrical on the corner, and so now I got all these trees cleared, but originally I was going to put the power like straight to my cabin over here, right? So my plan was originally I was going to run it from over there to the side of my cabin, but now I built everything first, right? So I wasn't thinking about electrical, but there's a 200-foot limit. And so, you know, right, of course, you know, right over here is 200 foot. So my little house here is about, you know, probably 5 foot too far that direction. So, and again, you know, I thought, oh yeah, no problem. I put electrical wherever, but I can't put it wherever. It's got to be in a specific spot. So. And if I wanted to put the main meter on the wall here, they have rules, the electric company, not really, you know, it's besides the county regs and all that. This is just with the power company. You can't put the main meter into the house. It's got to be so far from a corner and so far from a window, which right here you can't see it now, but there's a window right here, and it's real close to the corner, so I really couldn't put the main meter on the house directly, I don't think. So I don't know, maybe they got exemptions or something, I don't know. So anyways, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the, you know, a primary pole there, and then I'm going to have a line going from that into the well house, and then one to the house here. And then I think you can kind of, once you're past that main lug, you can do kind of whatever you want on, as long as it passes code, of course. So anyways, now I'm trying to figure exactly where to put the power in, but that's something to think about. Okay, so here's my well house right here. So I put this in first, and then I figured, oh, this is kind of centrally located, would be a good spot for my well, which that's not really a great thing being central. So then once I put that in, then I was going to get my septic put in, which is way down here. But what I didn't know at the time was it has to be 100 feet from this well to where your septic lines are out here. Okay, so here's my septic tank, and I got this put in, and the septic tank sits here, and it goes to the little box out here, and then this is my septic field. But you can't have your septic field within 100 feet of your well house, and it can't be within 100 feet of your neighbor's well house either. So you have to not only look at where your water is, but also your neighbor's water supply, right? And then, so this was really about the only place I could put the septic system, you know, that's 100 feet away and has enough area. So I put in the septic here, but you also have to have a backup septic system, right? So this area over here is like a backup system area in case this system fails. So, you know, you really gotta, you know, think about this extra space, because I wasn't thinking about the extra space. And then, of course, the extra space also has to be 100 feet away from your well and away from your neighbor's well. So just depending on how your neighbor has their water supply set up, you know, it's really going to mess with your plans. So you really got to, you know, look at those first. Like, make up your plans, make sure your neighbors, you can see where their water is, where their septic is, because you don't want their septic near your well either, you know. So a lot of stuff to plan out in just this plan. But you know, good luck with it all. You know, we'll see at the very end of this video how things actually turned out, if it was, you know, worth the price, you know, of building it yourself. And yeah, we'll cross our fingers on this baby, huh? And hope for the best, and good luck in whatever you do building your own homestead.